Well, hello and welcome to Bowtie Life for the 10th installment of growing a single tomato plant in a pot on an east-facing porch. And we're doing this series in an attempt to encourage someone to try to grow something. It doesn't matter if you have land, it doesn't matter if you're in an apartment. You can grow something, and there's so many options for growing things that you can enjoy fresh vegetables and fruits some way. You just have to look for ways to do it, and one of them is a tomato plant in a grow bag. Now, this is the 10th installment for this series, so if you haven't seen the others, there will be a link in the upper right corner of this video where you can go look at the whole playlist in order. Each lesson we try to take care of one, two, maybe three small lessons and demonstrations of how to grow a tomato plant. And we've been working on this tomato plant for 160 days since we planted the seed. 160 days today. That's a very long time. In fact, this Black Sea Man tomato is supposed to have given us fruit a long time ago, and about half that time. But let's discuss why it's growing so slow in just a few moments. Hi, I'm Bowtie Dave. So here we live in the panhandle of Florida, in Destin, in Old Destin. I live in quarter-acre property, in a neighborhood of quarter-acre properties all around, and some of us grow gardens and some of us don't, probably just like any other neighborhood in the country. And we are in December. In fact, today is December 29th. Happy birthday to me. And we have this tomato plant here growing slowly because it's cold. It's not as cold as up north. I know what cold is. I grew up in upstate New York, so I know what cold is, but it's a little too cold for this thing to thrive the way it might in the spring or the fall. Now, in the past 3 weeks, we have had, I think, 3 days now where the temperatures got down to 39 degrees. Not too terribly cold. We are just right at the threshold of this thing cratering. So we're still, it's a lot of an experiment to see where it can go. The interesting thing is, it is still growing. In fact, this right here, you might remember if you watched the previous episode, we tied these red ribbons on here, and there's actually some growth. In fact, one of the places we cut off right here, this thing is just taken off with a big old branch. Try not to break that. Oh, I did break one. Oops, that's okay though. With a big old branch of the plant right here, and that was where we snipped one of the little branches that were failing, and we wanted to encourage more growth on this thing. And so this thing is still growing, and it's still doing its thing. It still gets its sun in the morning, just a few hours of sun, 4 or 5, maybe 6 hours. Now, a Black Sea Man tomato ideally is a tomato that grows about so big. And the part that's the experiment here is because larger tomatoes just simply take longer to develop and takes more energy to develop. If I had grown a cherry tomato, a small tomato, a plant that makes small tomatoes, I would probably have fruit by now. But we do not have fruit. We do still have, in fact, we've been watching this bud up here. Oh, looky there. This bud has failed. Let me go ahead and snip that off. You can see this flower right here has started to shrivel. It has not developed. I was hoping that was going to be our fruit, but it did not. We do still have other buds up in here. There's some there. There's actually some way up at the top here, little tiny ones. I don't know if they're going to develop or not because of the cold. So we'll have to see. I do want to talk today about suckers. And no, that's not a bad term for somebody. It's a sucker is a branch on the bottom. Let me get you closer here so you can see exactly what's happening. So this here is the very base of the plant, and we have the main trunk right here that's been growing, and we have this other stem growing off the side here. Now, the reason why this can be a problem, now bear in mind the buds that we're developing are way up a foot or two, over a foot above this point. So there is a limited number of amount of energy that can come up this stem right here. And so imagine this stem, it's putting up so much energy. When it breaks off into two, suddenly the main stem here is getting maybe 60% of the energy that it would have gotten otherwise. Now, I've let this grow a little bit more than I should have just to make the illustration. Let me turn this a little bit, and you'll notice that there's not just one branch growing extra. There's a branch there growing extra. There's another branch right here growing extra. There's another one here on the other side growing extra. So what's happening here is now, because all these other branches are stealing some of that energy that's supposed to be going up the main trunk, which you can see right there, that's the main trunk. Suddenly, the main trunk that I'm trying to grow tomatoes on is getting a fraction, probably less than a third of the energy it could get. And so we want to get it to focus on those buds that are way up that plant. And we're going to simply come in here and take off these lower branches that are just kind of coming in where they're suckering energy off of this main trunk right here. So we take that, we take this one. I guess there were really only three. These two are kind of together. And so now we've taken these three branches off, and suddenly, immediately, in fact, the main trunk is going to start getting all the energy being produced by the roots down here. And I'm just kind of trimming these pretty close to the stem. And look here, here's another sucker beginning to develop. That can come off. So basically, you're going to want to keep suckers off up to the point where your first tomato is growing. Now, in fact, we could even take off this one right here. I'm not sure I want that one to be sucking energy out of it either. And there's another one back here. Okay, that's all I'm going to do. So we're keeping these lower branches at bay so that this plant has a chance to grow. And you'll notice right up in here is some buds. See that right there? That's a new bud right there. The old bud that I just trimmed off of is right up here. And so we've got another bud here. There's actually a third bud back there. I don't know if they're going to develop because of the cold. We still don't have anything below 39 degrees Fahrenheit predicted for the next 2 weeks. So we just might get a tomato out of this yet. I do have a place inside I can bring it if I need to if it gets any colder. But for 2 weeks in the future, we don't have any very cold weather predicted, which I'm very excited about. So that is our tomato plant at 160 days from the day we planted the seed. It is a very long time. There's actually a little lesson in that alone. When they say the number of days that things should give you fruit, those are under certain circumstances. If your weather is cooler, it'll take longer. If your weather is warmer, more ideal, it can take less time. And so it's really a guideline. It's not a rule that this thing has to produce fruit in 75 days from transplant, which is what the package says. But it's a guideline, and kind of gives you an idea of how much they can vary. I have tomato plants that have lived 3 or 4 times longer than they are supposed to right now in my garden. It's mind-blowing. And they're still producing tomatoes even on December 29th. Anyway, that's all I wanted to do in this episode. I've tried to keep these episodes fairly short so we can kind of get quick and to the point. The purpose of these, sometimes we get overwhelmed by all the information out there, watching people grow thousands of tomato plants, maybe not thousands, maybe several dozen. And they're talking about all the different things that can go on. I'm in my I'm starting my 5th year of successful gardening. I'm predicting, and, and we are learning how to garden ourselves. And this channel is really my own documentation of what's going on in the garden, what I'm doing, my successes, my failures, things that I'm learning along the way. And with my ADD brain, I go back and watch these from time to time to remember what I did. And sometimes they remind me of something that I need to do right now, and I'll go take care of a situation. But anyway, so this tomato, I'm very excited to see it still growing here almost at New Year's, just a few days away, and it'll be 2024. And I do see there are, where did I see those buds? Oh, right here. Probably can't see them on camera, but there's a little cluster of buds right here. And I did see at one, yeah, there's another bud way up here at this height. It'll continue to develop buds. It will eventually, hopefully, catch and create a tomato. It doesn't get a lot of light. They say give these things 6 to 8 hours of sun. It does not get that. So that's another factor that's going to slow it down. But anyway, if you've subscribed already to this channel, I do appreciate it. You are my hero, and you have helped grow the channel to what it is today. And we're still trying to get it to the next level of development. If you have not subscribed yet, and you don't want to miss a thing that's going on in the garden, please subscribe so you don't miss our videos. And if you thought this was at all entertaining, informational, educational, or inspirational, click that thumbs up on this video and share it on your social media. When you share our videos, when you click the thumbs up, when you comment on our videos especially, ask questions, make comments, tell us where you're at if you're growing tomatoes right now. When we get comments on our videos, it really helps the development of the channel, and it makes a very big impact. And I love getting the questions and the comments. I love hearing where people are and in their own gardens. I spend a lot of time watching other people's gardens because I want to get inspired by someone else's success and what other people are doing. So anyway, so yeah, I don't know if there's going to be more to this particular series. I'm still planning on it. It might take a while. If we someday, some years, we do not get frost here in Florida, and if we get frost here in Florida, I may end up bringing this and putting it on the table inside and see if we can get it to survive. If we only have 1 or 2 frosts, we may be able to get this thing to live through spring and actually produce a tomato in the spring. But either count, if we do get tomatoes, there will be another part to this series. And I think we're at a point right now where we're just waiting for one of these buds to start taking off. I will record a short if one of them really starts to develop. But when we get to the actual point where we're developing a tomato, we'll have an episode then, and that should be the last one. I'm predicting an episode 12 for that. This is episode 10. I'm hoping for an episode 12 for that, and we'll see what happens. So anyway, thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you following along. And if you haven't seen the whole playlist, there will be a link in the lower left corner down here on the closing sequence of this video, and be a couple other videos on the upper right hand side of this video to some of the other parts of the series. So y'all have a blessed day.